So I'm about to share a very spicy take, and it's about imposter syndrome. Yes, some people might have imposter syndrome, but I think that generally most people actually don't have imposter syndrome, and it's a lie. It's a comforting lie that we tell ourselves to feel like, oh, we can relate to the struggles of humanity or whatever. But hear me out. Hear me out. So, today's podcast episode is a hot topic, and I'm going to be giving a very spicy take. And the summary of it is that for most people, most of the time, imposter syndrome is a lie. It's either you're actually terrible at the thing, or you're just a beginner at the thing, and that is fine. That doesn't make you an imposter. I know it's a bit spicy, but hear me out. So you've been told that you might have imposter syndrome, that is very common, that one in X number of people have it, especially women and people from diverse backgrounds, basically anybody who's not a white man. But I don't think that that's entirely true. I think that because you suck at something, or initially at the beginning phase, you're in a new environment, you're doing a new thing, and you're struggling with like whether you can actually do it. It's a normal thing. It doesn't mean that you have a syndrome, because syndromes are usually used in association with like diseases or disorders, whether biological, physiological, mental, emotional, or whatever. So like I feel like everybody, the ease and quickness and readiness and speediness with which we assign everything with the label of imposter syndrome is quite concerning, because I don't think that it's accurate. If you don't know something now, it doesn't mean that you're an imposter. It means that you have the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to become better, the opportunity to improve. Even if you've been whatever you're doing for 10 years, if you go to a new role, it's a new environment, it's a new system. So even though you're an expert in the core technical skill of what you're doing, being in that new environment creates a new kind of interaction. So you're a beginner in that environment, and it only requires a little bit of time, and then you will catch up. So I don't think that it's fair to yourself or to other people to label everything as imposter syndrome. So that thought in the back of your head that tells you that, oh, they're going to realize that they made a mistake, is that initial fear of being in a new, is that initial, that first time, like, I've not done this before, and so I'm worried that I may not do it well. But if you just think about the fact that there are many things that you did for the first time, you may have sucked and you may have been bad at it, but then the more you kept at it, the more you learned, the more you tried new things and practiced it, you became better at it. So why would you just label every new experience where you come short of an expectation, or maybe your own expectation or somebody else's expectation, as you being terrible at things forever? Like, why? There's this Instagram reel or something I stumbled upon a very, very long time ago, and the song has really stuck in my head since then. It goes something like, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. Excuse my voice. But basically, it says that sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. When you do something for the first time, you're not great at it most of the time. I mean, there's some things that are like innate talents, and you do it the first time and it's like amazing. But most times when you do something for the first time, or you do something that you've done before in a new environment, you may not feel great, and you may not feel great. And that is fine. It doesn't make you an imposter. It makes you someone who feels that things sometimes, i.e., you are like everybody else in the world. And it makes you a person that maybe sometimes you make bad decisions, again, like every other person in the world. And you can learn from it, and you can improve, and you can make changes. You are capable of learning, you are capable of improving. You can do so many things. If you make one mistake or you don't do so well at something, you can learn it just like you learned everything else that you already know how to do. And one of my favoriteest people in the whole world, favoriteest is not a word, but I used it, is my podcast. One of my favoriteest people in the whole world Wana Udobang. She used to be an OAP and she's an amazing person. And she put up this post on LinkedIn a while back, and it was just a perfect encapsulation of my thoughts on imposter syndrome. So I'm going to read it out now. I'm very weary of the pathologizing of every experience and the dangers that come with it. So, as we approach a new year and we get inundated with the new research on work, culture, productivity, and success, I just want to remind you that it is normal to be scared of failure. It is normal to be a beginner at something. It is normal to not feel confident all the time. It is normal to want to be excellent, that it can become more pressure than anticipated. It is normal to learn as you go. It is normal to have pockets of self-doubt even when you have done those things many times before. It is normal to feel nervous about new and old tasks. It is normal to make mistakes and get things wrong from time to time. It is also perfectly fine to acknowledge your incompetencies so you know what gap needs to be filled. And sometimes you are in a system that wasn't built for you or that doesn't work in your favor, so you will find yourself having to build your own. As my mother always says, get it together and get on with it. End quotes. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of A Couple of Things. If you enjoyed this episode or found any part of it insightful, don't forget to share with your friends on your social media, and be sure to leave a comment or a review if you can on your podcast listening app. Thank you.